So hello and welcome back to Getting Started in Star Citizen. I'm Loudguns, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at logistics and trading. So a disclaimer from the very beginning, probably your biggest adversary when it comes to making your way in the space lanes is not pirates, but unfortunately server stability. So at its root, when it comes to trading, we're going to buy some cargo from one area, we're going to take it to another area, and we're going to sell it for a profit. Until it's sold, it's your money on the line. So whereas with some of the other professions, if you got a server crash, you might lose like the stuff you'd mined, you might lose one mission on a bounty hunting thing, but you wouldn't actually lose any money. If a trade run goes wrong, then you lose that money that you invested in cargo, because your ship will need to be claimed and it will not get claimed with the cargo in the back. So with that said though, trading is probably one of the best ways to get around and see the verse. So if you want to just be a tourist in Star Citizen and go and see sort of all the different little outposts that the developers have made, get around the different major landing zones, then trading's a great way to do that. So yeah, very much up to you. Help you make some money along the way while you're seeing the sights. So I'm here at Everest Harbour, but I've come to the cargo centre using the internal elevators, and that's because we have another ship rental kiosk here. So today I'm going to take out a MISC Freelancer. I like to refer to as the space van. It's a great little cargo ship, 66 SCU of cargo space, but just worth saying sort of that the Cutlass Black, for instance, has 46, I think. I'm probably going to be slightly wrong on that. So if you've got one of those that maybe you took out for the rock mining, then that's a perfectly good ship to do a bit of trading in as well. And even your Aurora, if you've got that starter package, will have a bit of space in it. So quickly, we're just going to flick over to my desktop because there are a couple of tools that you want. In the meantime, I'll make my way to the pad. So we're going to take a quick look at Galog, Galactic Logistics. Worthy mention also goes to SC Trade Tools. These sites are much of a muchness, just whichever UI you prefer. I'll link both of these in the description below. So if I go to trading, nice and easy to remember, I get to this page which will help us plan our route. So if we stick in Freelancer as our ship, it's also going to ask us for a starting investment amount. So bear in mind that you can lose it all. My rule of thumb would be to not risk your entire wallet loading up a ship with cargo. Set your limits at something like 25%, 50% of your total value, total net worth, so that you've got enough money to just get started again if you lose one run. If you lose it all and you get wiped out, then you're not going to have any money to load up any more cargo. So you'll have to look for something else to do to make yourself some starter cash again. That said, I've been a bit too free with my own money recently, so I'm going to set it at 50,000, which is most of what I've got currently, just to make sure that we get a reasonable enough run to provide an example. We can also add in a source trade port or a destination trade port. If there's somewhere specific you are or somewhere specific you want to go, then that can help you decide what to pick up along the way. But for this example, we're just going to hit calculate and it's going to spit out our most profitable route. So it's telling us we should go to Shubin Mining Facility on Microtech and buy astatine and drop it off at Port Olisar. So to fill the 66 SEU, we're going to buy 6,600 units, profit of 1.43 credit per unit, and a total profit of 9,438. So take these numbers, the profit totals, with a pinch of salt. the data's as up to date as they can make it, but you know, it's far from perfect, and these things are changing all the time. So, you know, it's likely to be a bit less than that. The stuff's likely to be more expensive, likely to sell cheaper than they're suggesting. Also, bear in mind, you know, just a word of warning on these sites. Loads of people using them, so if you do what we're going to do here and pick the first thing that comes to mind, then chances are there's lots of other people who've just entered a similar formula and it spat them out the same results. So it might be worth sort of looking down the list for other ideas of what to trade. So if I just click in on the astatine though, because we're nowhere near Microtech, so we're currently at Everest, we're around Hurston, and so I can now see all the places that sell astatine, and sure enough, ITER, which is one of Hurston's moons, is also selling it. So it's a bit more expensive, but at the same time, that would save us a trip somewhere with no cargo in our hold, no cargo, no money. So similarly, we can take a look at sort of where is buying, and so Port Olisar comes recommended, but we can also see that Hurston itself, sort of Lorville, the central business district, is also buying astatine, so we could do a really short journey between ITER and Hurston. One thing to bear in mind when you're doing this though is that a landing at a space station like Port Olisar, where we're just going to quantum jump to it, pull up, land on the pad, run in and sell, is going to be a lot quicker than a landing in atmosphere, go all the way down to the surface, land at Tisa, take the tram into the central business district, sell it there, and then have that whole return journey. So for this example, I'm going to stick to going to Port Olisar with my astatine. So, word just about inventories. Every one of these sort of trading outposts or landing zones has a maximum inventory. That's the number of units that it has at max when it's full. So just when looking at all these unit numbers, just bear in mind 1 SCU is 100 units. So all of these things are talking about in 1% of an SCU. So we want to look for ones which ideally have large inventories, because the inventories are all shared across servers. So even if you look around you at an outpost where you're trying to pick up this astatine, you might see nobody else around, but there might be 100 people on 100 different servers stood in HGMS Woodruff trying to buy exactly the same astatine as you're trying to buy, and that's all shared. So once they're empty, or just generally, they refresh their amounts at a certain rate. So these are given out per minute, but the server tick as such is sort of every 5 to 10 minutes you'll see the inventories refresh. So for example, if we've got 1000 here on the refresh per minute, every 5 minutes or so you might get an additional 5000. So given the popularity of these sites as a way to find commodities to trade and trade routes, consider taking a look down the list. You can find any commodities that are for sale, and you can find where buyers them. So I'd really encourage you to basically look for your own route, like look for something that other people aren't doing so much, even if it's a bit lower profit. If you can easily get in there and buy it and make quick runs, while everybody else is waiting for astatine at Shubin mining facility, then you'll be able to make more over time, and probably have a better experience trading rather than staring at terminals waiting for them to refresh. The one thing I would caution on though is if we just search for a likely candidate. There are certain commodities like Widow, so they'll come up with a skull and crossbones. So these can offer some incredibly high looking payouts. So I can buy 1 unit of Widow for 101 credits, and I can sell it for a pretty massive profit. of 123. So you might be like, well, yeah, let's all get into smuggling, because these commodities are illegal. So the problems are twofold really, and I really hope that the game evolves and that smuggling becomes more of a gameplay loop, because currently it's not really up to scratch. The real difficulty is that sort of actually selling any meaningful quantity of these things is incredibly time consuming, and you do just stare at those trade consoles the whole time. And the other thing is that a lot of these places which are sort of listed as the places that you can buy them aren't actually marked on the map, so you can't quantum travel to them easily. You have to learn where to find them, and yeah, it would be pretty difficult to go into in a beginner's video. So I'd just say just watch out for those ones which are for illegal trades. Even if there was something to improve the inventory situation and the refresh situation, just do keep in mind that these commodities are often illegal in a lot of the space that you'll be traveling through as you're trading. So if you get stopped and scanned by the security forces, then that's a crime, and they will actively try and detain you or blow you up, as the case may be. So, having warned you off smuggling for the meantime, I think we'll head back to the pad and start heading to HMS Woodruff. So here is our MISC Freelancer, our little spaceman. I think it's going to be a staple of many of the truck stops around the verse. So there's a ladder on the left-hand side, but if we just come around to the back, we're just going through the cargo bay, just to show where our haul is going to go. So always just get into the habit of closing your cargo bay as soon as you're in the ship, prevent any stowaways. So most of the cargo goes here in this chamber. We've got another little space for it there. Here's the crew compartment and our bridge. So you can bring up to 3 friends on your intergalactic adventures. So yeah, Freelancer's a good little ship, in my opinion. So we're going to head out for Eta and head for HMS Woodruff. So if I just get going, I will probably see you in orbit there. So now I'm here in orbit around Eta. Now I know there's not too many posts actually on the surface, so what I am going to do is just take a look around, having pressed B for some of the landing zones. So there we go, HMS Woodruff. So I made a bit of a meal out of that, but sometimes it can be quicker to jump towards your target this way rather than going through the galaxy map itself. So if we just set our jump for there, and while we make our approach, I guess it's just worth highlighting while I did say about server instability being your biggest enemy, there is a danger as you come towards some of these posts that you know, pirates are going to be out there. And one thing that I think you should sort of maybe bear in mind, particularly as the game develops, is that you do need to maybe take some actions to mask your direction. So it could have been pretty obvious as we left Everest that we were heading for Eta, so maybe do a few things to sort of throw people off the scent. Maybe sort of start a jump towards a different moon and then cut your jump back towards Eta, and just always be aware of your surroundings. I guess, like, you're pretty vulnerable at these trading outposts to people who might want to steal your cargo, so just keep an eye on the horizon for any ships, be they red or blue, and be very cautious about filling up your ship with other people around. So if we press B, we'll bring up sort of our quantum jump destinations, and that can just be useful in these scenarios for making sure that you keep track of the locations of these outposts on the surfaces. They can sort of blend into the background, and sometimes you don't even see sort of the lights and the landing pads until you're a few kilometers out. So so that can be a cheeky way to just make sure that you keep traveling in the right direction, because any deviation from course is going to cut down the speed of your run, is going to cut down your profits. So that's okay, we can start to see Woodruff now. Now just keep in mind good pad etiquette as well. So there's usually a large and a small pad, or a large and a medium pad, I guess, at these locations. And if you're driving a small ship, it's always best to just touch down on the medium pad, because if some guy comes along with a much bigger ship, he might be a bit annoyed at you. Or, you know, it's your choice. You can troll them if you like. So this time I'm just going to take the side exit. Now when we did the mining, we were looking around for the building that said storage, and it's the same for the trading. So there's usually 3 of these hab buildings, and one will be storage, just says there. The others will be things like mining control, habitation. So it's the storage one which contains the trading console, which is where we want to go to fill up our ship. So just keep an eye out the window as well. You know, you've not currently got anything in that ship, so if someone's then turned up to hover around you, maybe don't go into the trading console and start filling it up. So if I just select the location as MISC Freelancer, and the available things to buy will come up, so we want this astatine. So as we can see, 7.99 AUEC, so like I said, those trade tools aren't always 100% correct. But let's see if we can fill her up. So there we go, so we can buy 2,043 units, which is 20.4 SCU. So it's not going to be full at this point, so we're going to purchase what we can, and we're going to have to wait for a server tick to try and get the rest. So I'm going to cut the time down here, but yeah, you probably have to wait 5-10 minutes, just keep checking the console to see if that's gone to white from red. So thanks to a skip forward in time, you're coming in as I managed to buy the last of this astatine to fill up the Freelancer. To be honest, I was a bit lazy there. I'd already done some maths to work out the cost of this astatine, and so I diligently hung around until I could buy it. Just if you were doing this more for real, then consider at the point that you can't buy a lot of what you're after, consider looking at some of the other commodities around. See if like maybe a part load of some of those, maybe they'll sell at the same location, because the less time you can spend vulnerable at one of these trading posts, the better. So there's always the chance that someone will come along, try and hijack your ship, maybe pad ram you. There are a few people out there like that. But yeah, it's maybe a cautionary tale as well about picking the first thing on the list suggested by one of the trade tools, because a lot of people across a lot of servers might be stood at the exact same trade terminal as you're stood at, and you're trying to beat them to the punch as the server ticks over. But there is our full load of astatine, all nice and boxed up. And there's the last of it. So without further ado, let's get ourselves off this rock and back into space as quickly as we can. So no need to request takeoff permission from these outposts. So just straight up and pick up a bit of speed to try and just get yourself away from the danger zone as quickly as you can. So yeah, one of the good things about picking up stuff on these moons is lower gravity usually than the planets, and smaller atmospheres, so it doesn't take you as long to break ammo as it might in a taking off from a planet surface. So let's set course for the Crusader system. See if we can go directly to Port Olisar. There's going to be a couple of jumps, but that's our course plotted. So now if we start looking for our first jump. So always just make sure you've got yourself a cup of tea at the ready when you're doing some trading, and I will see you at Port Olisar. So as we come into Port Olisar for our final approach, just make sure as soon as you arrive, just take a look around, make sure there's nothing kicking off, and then make like hell for that armistice zone. It's closer in than some of the other ones, but you want to get into that armistice zone as quickly as you can to avoid the danger of bad guys. So we'll go request landing permission. Now, if you're trying to min-max this, one of the things that you can do is purposely land on the wrong pad. So purposely landing on the wrong pad will get your vehicle impounded after, I believe it's about 60 seconds. You have to vacate the area. That just means that it's probably the quickest way to like get your ship sucked into the station and away, which obviously sort of, as I mentioned, the most dangerous zones are the landing zones where you're picking up your produce, but there is a danger that you could get pad rammed by a particularly malicious individual, which, you know, sometimes some people are just in it to watch the world burn and to ruin other people's days, so there's nothing we can really do about those people, but we can minimise the chances that they get us. That said, I'm going to follow the rules and land my ship on the right pad, and then just run for the vehicle retrieval terminals to get it stored as quickly as possible. I would say just always make sure it's stored before you start worrying about actually selling the commodities you've got on board. You can sell even when it's stored, so just take away that risk that someone comes and blows you up while you're looking to sell at the terminal. So let's find the freelancer, get it stored, and that's it away. So now we're safe. Even if we log off the server, have to log back in, that cargo is still going to be there. So that is a successful run. So now we come to the trade terminal at Port Olisar, hit the sell, select our freelancer, and there's our astatine, which we're going to sell for 8.91. So we bought our astatine for 7.99 a unit. So 6,600 units, 66 SCU. That set us back 52,734 credits, and we're going to sell for 58,754. So a smidge over 6,000 credits, which I'm sure we can all agree probably wasn't worth it. That said, sort of if you do more looking into sort of finding your own routes, and if you maybe have a bit more to invest in the cargo load, then there's more that will open up to you. So I know another popular one is Laranite, and that's going to net you more like 4 credits profit per unit. So with your freelancer, it then starts to look closer to like 25 grand per run. So starts to become worth it. That will of course just take more of an investment, so it's more of a risk. Need more startup capital. But for the purposes of just explaining how to trade, how to pick up goods, how to come and drop them off, I think our astatine and our well-earned 6,000 credits was perfectly fine. So I guess while we're here, we'll just talk a little bit of ship. So the Freelancer has a big brother, the Freelancer Max, which gives up some of the other systems and onboard amenities in exchange for a slightly fatter body, giving it a much larger cargo hold. So this will take 120 SCU, so nearly double what the base Freelancer holds, and still capable of landing on some of the smaller pads, still classed as a small ship. So it's this is a good sort of step up, and probably something I'd maybe look at as a first step into dedicated trading. It will set you back about 2 million credits, so a decent one to work towards as your first in-game buy if trading's for you. So I managed to borrow a Mercury Star Runner as well. This one unfortunately isn't in the game yet, but it should be shortly. Maybe 3.13, 3.14 towards the middle or end of this year. But this is more just to illustrate the point that ships don't necessarily have to be dedicated cargo carriers to make good cargo running ships. So the Star Runner's got about 114 SCU, something like the Constellation Andromeda, which I believe you can buy in game for 3.5 million, has 96. So these can double up as pretty good cargo runners. So it opens a door to maybe buy a ship which isn't purely for cargo. Maybe you want to do some other things with it, but they can make pretty good cargo ships as almost like a side hustle. So the Drake Caterpillar is currently the largest trade ship in the game, pretty whopping 576 SCU of cargo space. It's about to be superseded by the C2 Hercules, but this is available to buy in game for 4.7 million today. Just bear in mind though that filling 576 SCU of cargo space is going to set you back a pretty penny, so you're going to want to build up some additional funds to actually start using this as a trader. So that brings us to the end of our episode on trading. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. It just helps me to know if I'm on the right track. And please drop any questions or thoughts in the comments below. It might have come across in the video that I don't really view trading as the most efficient thing to be out there doing. In all honesty, I don't. So you might ask, well, why did you bother making a video on trading then? But I think the main idea behind this series is just showing that there are different careers that you can follow in Star Citizen. There are different ways to make money, there are different ways to play the game, and even if it's not for me, it might be for you. So please just try everything out, give it all a go once. If you don't like it, then don't do that again. Go back to your bounty hunting or whatever you enjoy. I'm just trying to lay out the different ways you can go about playing for new players. And if you are a new player, if maybe you're watching this series as a sort of idea about whether Star Citizen is for you, or if you're participating in the free fly and maybe using it to just give you a helping hand to get going, then if you do decide to buy a game package, please consider using my referral code. I'll flash that up on the screen now and it'll appear in the video description. It will give you an extra 5,000 credits to start off with, and it helps me out too, so it would be much appreciated. So with all that said, I hope to see you in the next episode, where I think we'll probably go on to maybe buying a first ship and talking a bit about sort of ship loadouts and how to kit out your new vehicle. So until then, I'll see you around. Thanks.